Thanks for joining us on the Semi-Pros. Another big show coming up, another big week in sport, seems like, as we say every week in recent times. More things up and running, so we'll highlight a bit of that on the show tonight. Our ITP Haines Wilson special guest, Shaun McCarthy. He is the captain of the Hip Pocket Rockets in the DDBBL. We continue our countdown to that big player draft, which is just under 2 weeks away. So we'll have a chat to Shaun about the Rockets. He's the only returning captain. So interestingly enough, every team has a new captain except for the Hip Pocket Rockets. And they've stuck with Shaun McCarthy. They've had the opportunity to redraft him as skipper, and they didn't miss the opportunity, so we'll have a chat to him. We'll also talk about Southern Hotel Shot Clock. Plenty happening out and about in local sport, in international sport, and national sport. We'll cover all of that here, and we'll also hopefully try and find you a winner or two on the punt to finish off the show. That's all coming up next on the Semi-Pros.
Just about done, mate. Surely. There you go. That's outstanding. Not much talent running around in our own backyard.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Semi-Pros. The Semi-Pros. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up. Let's go.
Well, welcome along to the Semi-Pros. Oh, good. Steve Glover's here. I thought I might have been alone for a while. How are you, mate?
Yeah, mate. Very well. Bit of a late rush to get on the airwaves, but here we go.
Yeah, no, not wrong. I'm the same.
So
what's happening this week, mate?
Everybody.
Exciting?
Oh, mate, it's all happening today. Yeah, busy. Bit of sport going on, bit of everything. So
yeah. You're something close to your heart, but Grammar Downlands this weekend. This is your 20 year. You can't even celebrate it, can you?
And it was meant to be the big reunion. Yeah, so tomorrow night it would have been actually the big dinner, then the hangover on Saturday and whatever else. No, sorry, Saturday was meant to be the dinner. Yeah. So it would have been a big weekend, but I see they have somewhat opened it up a bit. So they're going to have a few school spectators there from each school, 100 from each, trying to get a little bit of atmosphere, but definitely be like everything in life at the minute. It's a new sort of normal, I suppose, for the foreseeable future. Yes.
So what are you guys doing to celebrate the 20-year mark? What's the deal?
Mate, to be honest, I haven't heard a thing. I don't know. I'd say we might be a 21st sort of, might be a big combination, double banger next year. But not too sure. If it's anything like the 10 years ago, just about to the day, then I'm glad we're not having one. So it ended up a big effort. So
yeah, we talked about this when they first announced how it was happening. Now you've played in it, you've been to the school, or one of the schools involved, should I say. What's your thoughts on it? Atmosphere, school pride's what really created this. Now, from what, and I did say this unofficially because don't take this as gospel, but from what they tell me, there'll be 100 from each school allowed to attend, I believe. So you're going to have 100 from each school to attend, and then obviously there'll be a limited number when they come down to parents and stuff. How do you reckon? I don't know, because the atmosphere plays such a big part, I think, in why this is such a special event.
Yeah, it certainly does. Like it's going to be a whole heap different to normal. Like even back in the days, I think, when the Risdon Cup canned their fixtures, like you'd get, would you nearly get 8, 10, 12,000 sort of there watching this game. It probably fizzled out a little bit to around that 3.5, 4 mark once the Rugby Union Toowoomba run their fixtures there. But yeah, to have 200, it'll definitely be different. And it is one of those games that you mark it on the calendar as soon as you turn up to school first day there. You're marking Grammar Downlands, whether you play footy, whether you don't play footy, whether you just attend the schools. And half the time when you're in the other schools in the region, you mark it up as well because it's
100%.
Pretty big occasion. It's just a massive event for Toowoomba, I suppose, because you're going to get like borders and all those the reach that the schools cover. They come in, so you're getting the farmers from out west, and like the reunions too. So you're generally getting a couple hundred from each school there catching up. So like in terms of an event for the city too, it's a fairly big hit for that. But in terms of playing footy, there's nothing. Well, playing sport, there's nothing better than getting out in front of a crowd and feeling that adrenaline. Sort of you run off the hype there, and it's a bit similar to, I suppose, the NRL and that. Now that they got crowds back, but going back is like you sort of rely on yourself to get yourself up, and if you can't make yourself sort of ready to play, then what are you sort of in there for? But there's no doubt it'll affect that sort of performance. Whether it neutralises the game, because I suppose don't know how much the crowd affects that momentum of a game. So you get on there and you sort of get that support going behind you. How much of an actual effect that's going to have on the momentum and being able to capitalise, or whether they'll be able to sort of wrestle that momentum back because there isn't that sort of support and vocalness going on. But I think the 100 from each school, there would have had to been some fair auditions, wasn't there? Because
that's what I said. How do you work that out?
You're sitting there and watching it, sort of go boys, sort of thing. You would have had someone in there that's going to be riled up and make the most of it. It's a bit like that when they closed the pubs for COVID. It should have that law that they should have brought in. Well, you can't sit there and drink one beer. If you're going to be in there drinking the bar, you're going to be having a go. So a bit like that. So it'll, I'd say they'll be fairly vocal, 100 that they do get there, for sure.
They'd have to let the marching band in, surely. They'd have to count in the 100.
Oh, the tuba, the trumpet, the old, I don't know what that sort of side of the band's called. I didn't really do too good at the musical escapades back in school. So the woodwind or whatever, is that a woodwind or?
You're telling the story, mate.
They might let the old drum and the old bugle in, like the Canberra Raiders, and get the old Vikings pup going on.
Yeah.
Might be just restrict them to the two.
Well, I don't know how. Anyway, it'll be interesting to see how it all goes. So did you ever win your year, Steve? Did you guys get up or what?
No, we didn't. They dusted us in both the cricket and the footy. They had some talent going around in that year. That Stainsy, Joey. Ben Bruggeman, Greg Holmes was in there
handy
as their prop, who went on to a pretty handy sort of career. But I think it was a pretty tight game. But they did dust us. But you still remember that occasion. It was up at Downlands. The hill was chock-a-block back then, and great atmosphere, great memories. Just didn't get up on the right side of the ledger, but.
Who had the after party?
Yeah, where was the after party? Yours.
Where was it that year? Don't know. That's probably how good it was.
Can't remember.
Hell
of a time.
Wait, I didn't even go to one of the schools, but I remember where the one was in 99.
Yeah, Red Keg. Well, Red Keg was meant to do it again the following year, but I think whether it was the school or the legal authorities put a stop
to her.
Mate, I don't even know who Red Keg is, but I just know he had that party.
He was a legend. What he might have made that $10 cover charge or $5 you paid at the gate, he would have made an absolute monster.
But then he was patriotic. If you played for either team, you got in for free. Any grade.
Yeah. Well, that's
good of him. That's something, you know.
Yeah. Like whether you played in the
that's like local
C's
footy,
or the.
If you're playing, you don't have to pay admission to the ground the rest of your day.
The
home team, anyway.
Because I'm sure both of you wouldn't be surprised by this story. I walked in with Captain Griffin Brant Clifford, and he trying to stitch up a bargain for me. He said that I played in the 16 Ds or something for Downlands.
Did Red Keg just not believe you and say, mate, you don't look like a footballer, this bloke?
So
is that what he said?
I can't remember. Anyway, it was good. It was a good go. So, but anyway, good to see you joined us.
Yeah, if you had your hot time again, you'd pay 20 to go. She was a good night.
You paid 200 cover charge to get there. It was good. As I said, I don't know. I think Downlands won that day. I should know. Brant was carrying on. So
yeah, they did. That again had a pretty handy footballer.
Yeah. Fairbanks
was their skipper and leader. And some pretty handy talent come out of the two schools, and we're seeing that lately too. So
some unbelievable talent. Like you said, we could go through right back to the Horans and Littles and
Jason Little.
that sort of unbelievable the players that have come out of those schools and out of these games that went on to have the careers that they've had or still having at the moment. That's for sure. No, it's one that's absolutely steeped in history. Now, what's on the show this week? We talk DDBBL. Shaun McCarthy's going to join us up after the break. Glad you guys are on board. I'm sure you read the schedule. Introduced a new segment this week, the Semi-Pro Soapbox. So we got the power play. Bubs band. Well, Bubs isn't here this week, so he's out. So he doesn't matter. Yeah. Bubs catch and JJ say. So what's on your mind? What's your power play this week, Joel? What's caught your eye? What's on your mind sporting-wise this week?
Mate, the suspension of Huey Bowman. How can you not talk about that? That is, honestly... Did you obviously caught the race, post-race, boys, but I remember watching it live there. I was on the thing he was riding, so it was all right for me cheering him on. But I'll tell you what, when they showed the replay from the turn and he's just put the indicator on and just said, don't worry about the 2 lengths, fellas, I'm coming over. And poor old Andrew Adkins, I don't know. Yeah, that was horrendous watching that. And watching it live, the horse going in for end sort of stuff, it was just disgraceful.
You got 6 weeks.
From a premier jockey to do that, you know what I mean? Fair enough, you're lobbing on a 4-kilo claimer onto it in the first steer and in a race ride, but he's the premier jockey of Australia and he's just cleaned him up like no consideration. As Steve said, it was reckless. And then he got 6 week suspension. You know what I mean? That's a bit light on in my view.
Well, did the horse get put down?
Yes.
Yeah.
Danny Williams, the horse trainer, right? He came out that week and said, this is the best horse I've had in the last 10 years. And he's got some pretty handy ones himself, but that's the opinion he had on this horse. To be fair, it was going no good on the day, but, geez, old Huey Bowman, he's got off light there in my view. 6 week suspension for that. I would have thought they would have been rubbing him out for 3 months.
6 weeks he's cop. So what, you reckon it's unders?
Way unders. I don't know. They should have put him out the same time Andrew Adkins would be out.
He had a while. So
I'm well aware of that.
He put out a statement today, Bowman, basically saying,
what did he say?
Saw it or not, it pop up on Twitter. Just around along. Huh?
The run was there. Consolidated running.
That's what he said.
He
shifted out on the horse in front of me. He started, and it was slowing down. I had to get out off its heels and.
Yeah, well, he basically, he obviously apologised and all the rest of it and said, in they've got a split second to make a decision.
I accept that they do.
And he thought he could, whatever you want to say, but he said he thought he could do what he did without causing drama. But anyway, it didn't work out that way. But anyway, that's your power play. Hugh Bowman unders.
I'll tell you what he thought he could do. He thought he could just shoulder into the clear. But I'll tell you what, if he had a shouldered into the clear, Adkins would have knocked the one beside him off anyway. The way he's come out on it, you know what I mean? It wasn't that he's just tried to nose it out. He's just barged it out like it was – he had to take the run, essentially. It was, like I said, as Steve described it, as reckless. That's exactly what it was. And I think 6 weeks is way too short a suspension for him. He's got away.
6 weeks too short. Power play from Joel. Gloves catch. What's on your mind this week?
Yeah, I did a fairly good, decent bit of research on this too, but this segment. But one thing it's caught up with me, and probably it stood out a bit there, is the amount of season-ending injuries that have popped up in the NRL throughout this comeback from the COVID. I know we're getting closer to finals, so those season-ending injuries don't have to be as, I suppose, as severe. As severe as what they are earlier in the season, but the Knights, obviously, you've lost McCulloch and
Connor Watson
on the weekend. You couple up a couple of Roosters there, the Broncos with Oates. Just the amount of players that are going down with really serious injuries. I don't know whether it stands out more this year as opposed to previous years because there have been bigger names that are copping these things, but whether it comes back to the break they had after week 2 and bodies just weren't up to it. They didn't get that pre-season hit out to toughen them up. But, yeah, something that just piped up and see. And old St. Peter's probably got a solution to fix it too. So, he's done everything else. But yeah, that's also what popped up there. I don't even really know what I'm trying to say, but something that I know the last week there, and I think it's going to have a massive run into the finals of
for sure.
Who's going to be there when the whips are cracking? And like everything, you need a bit of luck injury wise, but there's just so much happening, and whether they're hammering the same fields over and over and over, whether there's something in that, something going with that. So.
Well, a couple of those injuries happened at Bankwest Stadium there, didn't they? And then they ripped the turf up and went again.
When they played 4 or 5 games in a row or whatever. Yeah.
But no, good one. I reckon, as I said, no, seriously, it's a big issue we've seen this year, and it seems to be happening a lot. And what the answer is it because of 6 again? Is the game faster, as you said? Is it because of the break? What is it? Who knows? But there has seemed to have been a lot of injuries. You said they're going to play a big part. My observation for the week was the disappointment to see that the Walker brothers were ruled out of the Warriors job. We had Ben on the show, obviously, going back quite a few weeks ago and talked about their desire to coach at NRL level. They felt they were very, very close with the Gold Coast. Obviously didn't work out, the Warriors. So, and you just wonder, will they ever get a chance? Will they ever get a chance to showcase what they can do at that level? Will someone be willing to take a risk and give them that opportunity? And I thought maybe the Warriors was probably a perfect case in point for them to get that opportunity, something totally different. It actually probably suits the way that they generally play football in general, outsiders coaching coming in and just starting again nearly in many ways. So I was just sort of disappointed to see, obviously, I was like many of us parochially, obviously from Toowoomba, that would hope they'd get that chance. But will they ever get a chance? Will they get it? Will they get a crack at it? I mean, the longer that they're out, they're not coaching anybody at the moment as well. Does that play against them? You know, like they're not coaching a Intrust Super Cup team. They're not assistant coaches of any teams. They're living normal lives, retired basically from or stood down from coaching the Jets, and they haven't coached since. So, will they ever get a crack?
I think that's the hardest thing, is what you just said there. They've never done an assistant's role in the NRL system. And they've always sold themselves as a package deal, haven't they? And said, you know, it's the two of us on the go. So I think that's the issues that are like withholding there, because now's the best time. How many places are looking for a coach?
Exactly.
You know, or screaming out, we're going to be looking for one at least. You know, like the Warriors, potentially the Broncos, the Cowboys. You know, there was a few lining up there, wasn't there? So
yeah.
You know, if ever it was, the time would be now. But it just seems that the name's often floated, but no one ever takes them too seriously.
And gives that an opportunity. But anyway.
They're all but announced there at one point.
Yes, that was obviously
it was all over there.
Yeah, hoax.
He announced that evening, and I think I shot off early there saying, no, the Walker's job's got this, but I don't think so. That's it for them. They didn't get that job. I don't think they'll get a, like you said, perfect fit. Like for somebody to take a risk, runs that sort of that gameplay to start with. I can't see anybody else taking them, especially coming out of the paddock now. They're not sort of up there front and centre in a coaching gig, but I think that might be curtains for them moving forward until they get back into the coaching thing. If they get back in the Q Cup, have that success again, then surely somebody's got to give them an opportunity. But
So time will tell. So, but anyway, that's the Semi-Pros Soapbox. We're going to take a break on the show. When we come back, Shaun McCarthy is going to join us, our special guest.
I wouldn't go to Haines Wilson for the looks. They're good at their day job.
Liam answered all of our questions every time that we had a concern or were stressing about anything. We'd call him up. Being first home buyers, we didn't really know what we were up for. Ran through the whole thing, took another level of stress off us. He was just really helpful in that sense, and also the fact that, you know, he wasn't just helping us get a house, but he actually educated us on the property market. He spoke to different people, he recommended lawyers to us and all of these other people to us. So he did all the work for us and educated us along the way, so I feel much more at ease about going into the next house. If you were looking for a mortgage broker, hit up Haines Wilson. Yeah, I don't know what else to say. That was bad.
So our Haines Wilson ITP special guest joining us on the program, Shaun McCarthy. How are you?
G'day, fellas. How are we travelling?
Excellent. Now, you're in the unusual position, unlike any other captain this year, you're going back to the same team you were a part of last year. So, deja vu.
I am, mate. Yeah, very, very happy with that, to be honest. I would have been happy to be a part of any of the teams, but enjoyed working with Graham and the team last year, so looking forward to doing it again.
Did they have any indication that if they got their chance and you were available that they'd pick you? Or did you have any idea?
I'd like to think yes. Maybe they've got some low standards with their captain. I'm not too sure. Missing out on the finals last year. But no, I think things went pretty well between all of us last year. So I'd like to think that Strangy was keen to have me on board when the chips fell his way like they did.
Mm-hmm.
But do you see that as a...
Do you have any sort of indication? Where are you guys picking in the draft now? So he had the first round pick, but he chose to go in the third spot, wasn't it? So where's that land you with the players draft?
Fourth spot for the captain, so third spot for the players draft. So I think number 3 is not too bad. I had a bit of a look through the list of players that I've nominated so far, the SAV, and you could easily rattle off more than 3 really good, capable players you're happy to pick up. So we've just got to decide who our top 3 are.
For us?
Yeah, I can rattle off. There's at least probably 3 or 4 really good Brisbane grade cricketers. 2 of them play for the same club, Jared Sipple and Steve McGiffin, I think his name is. Harry Wood's nomination from Ipswich, he's there again. There's a good couple of Queensland country cricketers, Michael Salerno, Sam Winton, those guys as well. So there's plenty on offer, and there's still plenty more that are yet to nominate as well.
Mate, being a returning captain, you think that puts you guys at an advantage? You've had that year working together, sort of understand what they're trying to achieve above what the other teams, which are back pretty much starting from scratch, where you've got that little bit of momentum moving forward?
Yeah, I think it's going to hopefully work well in our favour. We're just going to roll with the similar sort of game plan when it comes to the players draft as what we did last year. And then the same thing will roll into our trainings leading into the season, and then once the season kicks off as well too. See, it won't take too much for all the other teams to figure out what direction they want to head in, but at least we don't have to have that sort of pre-meeting to figure out where we want to go. We're just ready to get straight into it.
So you were the team. Sorry, you go, Steve.
No. What'd you pick up out of last year? Sort of a year on, a year wiser in the strategies that you had. And you said you do a similar sort of thing. Is there anything that sort of you did pick up that you might look to tweak a little bit?
Yeah, don't pick 3 blokes from the same grade club in Brisbane. We lost them for the last 3 rounds. We didn't get them for most of the comp. So that was a bit of a disappointment, but. Now, considering Zach's one of the captains, we can't pick him up this year, so I think we might try and avoid that mistake. But yeah, no. Apart from that, we were pretty happy with how things went with our youth and a link to local cricket sort of mentality that we were going with, and yeah, it seemed to work out all right, even though we missed on making the top 3.
You agonised them all close there, though, weren't you? Down to
a couple of metres in it, yeah. Well, one or 2 balls and a couple of metres on that last ball. It was good theatre, wasn't it? That's for sure.
Amazing day out there, yeah. Like the whole competition, and it couldn't have probably ended up better on that last round day. Sort of going down to last ball, last metre, last catch.
Yeah, good fun, wasn't it? Let's hope for more of the same this year.
Shaun, you guys last year famously left about 400 points on the table at the draft.
Yeah, 300
do that
points. Again? No, we get them this year, I believe Kent said. We get them added on. So we've got our little pocket ready to go. We're already half filled, so we can load up on somebody nice and high this time around.
What do you reckon they carry over?
We didn't need to really look for. I think most of the Tier 1 and Tier 2 guys had already gone, and, yeah, we were happy with the list of Tier 3s and 4s that we had. So, yeah, it just seemed to work out that way, that we still had points in the bank. But, yeah, not too worried.
You mentioned you were looking through the players available. So from what you've seen at the moment, do you think there's a better depth of player than last year? Just looking at it on paper, is it the same, different this time round?
I'd probably say it's a little light on at the moment. I think last year there was about 150, 160 nominations from Monday just gone. I think the list was about 120. So hopefully a lot more come through in the next couple of weeks. I'm sure Commissioner Kent and the DDBBL team will be firing out a few messages, hoping to get people involved. There's a lot of guys that were involved in teams last year that still haven't nominated, and hopefully they do the same again. But yeah, if you can get it to around that 150 mark, I think it'll probably level out to where it was last year.
And a guy you mentioned before, Zach Beveridge, he was on your team. He's now one of your opposing captains. So how's that going to work out, you reckon?
Yeah, it'll be all right. He gets lucky draft pick number 1, Zach. So I think he probably already knows who he wants. Whether anyone else has a clue, who knows? But yeah, if you thought I love my spreadsheets and I was really into all the numbers, you watch Zach go. He'd already be working on it. He's probably working on it as we speak, to be honest, I reckon.
Who do you think will go 1? Same name has popped up. We've asked this now. I'm going to tell you, we've asked this question a few times. We've seen the show. We've asked it a few times, and the same name keeps popping up. Do you have an idea? Who do you think will go number 1?
Because I think Zach knows the fella from playing at the same club in Brisbane. Is that Steve McGiffin? I think that's his name. I think he's quite a handy all-rounder, a good middle-order bat, and a pretty decent with the ball as well. So if I was a betting man and I was betting on Zach picking him, that's who I'm going to go with.
Righto.
What
did
about
you guys say? Steve? You guys were you and Bubs and that were pretty adamant on. It was Wood, wasn't it?
Yeah, Harry Wood. I think a lot more, like Shaun said, we'll be fairly diligent about availability on these guys. Because from what I'm hearing now, it's a bit up in the air of what's going to happen with the Brisbane grade cricket, whether they're going to lump a lot more into it because they've lost the time or that sort of thing, or lost the back end of last year, or they're not getting that second sort of tier shield level. I think that's been scrapped, the second 11. So a guy like Harry Wood, like probably the most talented guy there on offer, or up there on par with, but availability is a massive thing too. Like these guys were scratching around. I think the first round you guys were only just made 11 players. Was that you guys last year?
Yeah, first, second, third, fourth, and fifth. I think we struggled to get. I think we had 12 for one game. Every other game we only had 11, and we had to get blokes to come in from outside our original picks too. But Kent has sent out a bit of a rough draft on what Brisbane grade cricket are planning on doing, and it actually works well in the DDBBL's favour. There's only one weekend where there's one during regular rounds where Brisbane grade fellas, if they make the quarterfinals, will be unavailable, and the grand final for our comp, that'll be another one where I think it's the semi-final for the Brizzy grade comp down there for first and second grade. So judging on that, hopefully we get to see them play as much as possible. But yeah, we'll just wait and see. That could always change. You never know what Queensland cricket are going to do with their draws and what could change between now and then. So we'll just work with it as it comes.
Shaun, what about from last year, your experience last year? Anything you've sort of picked up and thought, geez, I'll do that different this year in terms of the draft or in terms of the season itself?
Yeah, like I said before, Jolie, obviously picking blokes from that are all going to be available as much as possible. We had a bit of a poor form run with injuries last year. That's something you just can't control. But I think picking a youthful sort of side with a couple of additional fellas with plenty of experience to go with it, I thought that worked pretty well for us. I'd like to do the same thing again. I still, don't get me wrong, the Brizzy grade cricketers are going to be great for entertainment value and going to bring a higher standard of cricket to it. But I think it's nice to try and pick guys that are affiliated with Toowoomba and Darling Downs cricket in some way. Like last year, we picked Zach Beveridge, Darcy Murphy, and Jared Sipple, who are all from Toowoomba and the Downs. So it was nice to have those guys that still are, aware of Toowoomba cricket in some way and know how the pitches play, the outfields run, and have a bit of a good understanding for cricket in our region.
But you probably last year you were the sort of, I suppose, bargain hunters of the competition, and often a 2020 game you look at getting the batsmen in there that go out and belt the ball around, but a guy that had a massive impact with the ball more so, John Cleary for you guys. Has that sort of shaped the way, maybe we don't need to attack full attack on the batting end. You got a guy, like, he didn't do anything fantastic. All he did was bowled full and at the stumps, and he absolutely carved up the bowling. So having those guys that consistently bowl as well is equally as important to have someone that can go and blast someone off the park with the bat.
Yeah. I didn't actually bowl Johnny in the first game we played, so that's how well I thought he was going to be. Well, then he goes out and gets 6 for the next game when he does bowl. So that was clever. But you just don't know which guys are going to fire at what particular stages and all the rest of it. And like you said, some guys who, like Johnny, I picked him because I know he's a good all-rounder, but I knew that he could really whack a ball when he needed to with the bat coming in the later overs. But, yeah, the fact that he was still able to do that for us, he got a couple of good scores there. But, yeah, the fact that he was able to bowl so well for us was just an added bonus. And it'll be nice. There'll be guys this year that'll do a similar sort of thing where you pick them up for one reason and they'll just turn the competition on its head for something else. So I look forward to seeing who that is, and hopefully they're in my team again. That'd be nice too.
Mm.
How does that make your life as a skipper too? I know when, like, as captain and Railways there and playing the 2020, and you've got a bowler that can actually just, like, bowl to a plan as opposed to one that's just sitting there spraying it everywhere and copping a hiding. Having a bloke like that, it, like, makes your life so much easier being able to. Not that you're always on the hop too in the 2020, but as easy as possible as it can be for that sort of format.
Yeah, it really does, doesn't it? You want a bloke that you know you're going to get 4 overs out of, whether he bowls it or not. That's another thing. But if you've got one fella who is spraying them and you can only get 1 or 2 overs out of him, then you've got to find him from somewhere else, and it makes your job a little bit more difficult. But that's why you've probably got to try and make sure you can't go into T20 cricket with 5 bowlers. You've always got to have surplus in the bank. So that's always the plan.
So the draft comes up the 14th. So a few important weeks for all of the teams. So I guess a very, very important couple of weeks coming up for you guys, the Brains Trust, to try and get a bit of a plan on what you hope will unfold come the 14th.
Yeah, definitely. I think we're planning on catching up as a crew in the next week or so, and then there'll be that invitational for out-of-towners at Toowoomba Grammar who want to come along and showcase their skills. So we'll go along and see who shows up there. There might be a good couple of bargains that we can pick up on. Not that every other team will be there and wanting to do the same thing anyway. And then, a week later, it'll be all systems go on Friday the 14th. And, we'll try and just finalise a couple of things before that and be good to go.
That's a new addition this year, isn't it? Almost like a trial game.
Football 3 hours.
Nice to be on the coaching side. I might take a clipboard and a pen. Might,
Possible and probable.
You going up for a run, Steve?
Well, I wouldn't be running, but I don't know. Yeah, maybe. We'll see.
You nominated yet or what?
No, I haven't nominated. When do they close? Mate, I'll tell you what, they'd be hard up to pick a busted up old Discovery, can't bat, can't bowl, can't catch. So the Scott Moore DDBBL.
Is Troy playing, is he?
Who knows? Who knows what Troy's doing? He's a very secretive sort of fella.
So when's nominations close? Kent Reamer's online. He'll tell me. They're soon. When's it? Do you know when? Sean, do you know when the nominations close?
I've got no idea. It'd have to be after next Sunday, after that invitational, surely.
Yeah. So that's all coming up soon. So we'll see what the final list looks like, which will be very, very interesting. It sounds like there's quite a few names still to pop up. So who ends up on the final list, we'll see. We'll see who stars with the bat and the ball in the old tryout game, which I think is a really good addition as well and quite interesting. So draft is the 14th, which is happening out at the Clyburger for Grand Atrium at Clifford Park. So we'll see how that all unfolds out there. And then the first game, there we go, 8th of August. The commissioner's telling me 8th of August is when the so what's that, the nomination? Yeah, it's the week before. So there you go, Steve. You got till the 8th. Write that down in your diary, 8th of August. You can do a bit of training between now and then before you nominate yourself. So the 8th. So the 8th when that comes up. So I said the 14th is that big draft night. First game is September 13. So pretty exciting time for the Murdoch Lawyers DDBBL. I think there's a lot of anticipation around it this time around. Everyone seems to know what to expect. So there's a lot of excitement with it. And Shaun, wish you guys all the very best in the next few weeks. And, of course, once the competition gets underway, and really appreciate you joining us on the Semi-Pros tonight.
Thanks, James. Thanks for having me, fellas.
That's Shaun McCarthy, the captain of the Hip Pocket Rockets. We'll take a break on the Semi-Pros. More next.
At the Southern Hotel, our Sunday steak special has been so popular, we want to offer it on Saturday too. 180-gram rump mignon, 400-gram New York cut T-bone, or a huge 500-gram grain-fed rump, all for just $23.95. It's better at the Southern.
Thanks for joining us on the Semi-Pro Southern Hotel. Thanks to the team out at the Southern Hotel for supporting us here on the Semi-Pros. You can pop out and see the team out there, see Shane Mogg and the crew. So the Pokey Room's back up and running, of course, Bar 839, Cafe Inferno, wonderful feed out there, and then the bottle shop, of course. So all you need, and it is the home for live sport. So with more and more sport appearing on our big screens, there's no better place to be than the Southern Hotel. Thinking of the Southern Hotel, Brian May. Has he nominated yet, or what? Reckon he'll go around again? What the?
I think he was a late, late nomination. Left it to the last minute last year, so he'll be made as a cricket tragic. One of those blokes. This is me last year. This is me last year. He'll be rolling around with his 65. Kids are playing. He's probably terrorising some D grade youngster or something.
Probably right. Wouldn't it be stiff to come out rolling to him and he's opening the bat or comes out at 3 or 4 or 5 or wherever in D grade or something? Jeez, that'd be frightening. But no, go pop out to the Southern and ask him. So if you see him, say you're nominating or not. So we'll find out. So he went number 1 in the draft last year. So we'll see what happens. Righto, boys. Southern Hotel shot clock time. 2 things I want to talk about, both rugby league related. We seem to talk about league a lot because plenty happens.
We love it.
David Fafita's contract, $1.25 million. Worth it? Waste of money? Overpaid? Underpaid? Smart move? Dumb move? Joel, kick us off. What do you reckon?
Overpaid. Way overs. Bloke's injured at the moment. 3-year contract, 1.25 a season. Gee whiz, you want someone that's going to guarantee they're going to play just about every game, so you can get value for your money for one. Yeah, he can change a game and turn it on its head. We've seen glimpses of that so far, but I don't know if we'll be throwing the bank at as much. You know, they haven't got a half to steer them around there. The Titans at the moment. Well, Jamal Fogarty, the old burly bear, he's the only one, making some inroads in terms of a half to steer the team around, and still not NRL sort of quality. So I would have been chasing probably a half. But to be fair, they're starting to build a pretty good forward pack, so might give the halves something to work with. I don't know. I think he's the right type of player to go there in terms of finalising their pack. And unfortunately, the Titans are one of those clubs that just have to pay overs to get a player, and potentially that's what sort of occurred in this scenario, I think. But 1.25, that's the biggest contract, the most amount that anyone will be paid.
Well, so Jason Taumalolo is on $1 million.
Yep,
10 years, mind you. But so Fafita's earning more than him, and Taumalolo. Steve, what do you make? What do you make of it?
Oh, it's massive. Like, way too much to pay the bloke. But I see that the Titans had to do something. They've got to try and get someone there that's going to be a marquee. Like, they're paying on potential, a bit like what Knights did. Ponga. Like, Knights couldn't get anyone to go there bar a busted ass old bloke looking for a payday on the back end of his career. So they have to take a risk moving forward, get this youngster, hope that he turns out to be what they need, that he comes out and does dominate the first 4, 5, 6 rounds next year, and people want to come and play because he's there. But I don't know how much they have in the salary cap, but like, they really do need someone in the halves to steer the ship. They just don't have a leader there to tie it all together. Have a good forward pack. We need someone to be able to tie it into the back line there as well, which they struggle with. But I see why they've taken the risk on it. I think, they just kept going up and up and up and up until
he said yes.
He had to sign.
Well, he had to sign, didn't he? You make a good point there. You use the comparison with Ponga.
Yeah.
What the Knights play Ponga on potential?
Yeah,
Was it 800 or 600 or something?
600?
600 come off, paid off for them. But again,
then upgraded it.
It's half of what the Titans have made. So
problem was though, Ponga hadn't played. I think he played 2 NRL games when he signed with the Knights.
Yeah.
Fafita's played a couple of seasons. You know what he's got.
State of Origin.
Like State of Origin. He's that exciting player that, like I said, can flip the game on its head. But my only issue as well, in terms of Ponga, yes, they took a punt. They paid him good money when he was young, like you say, Steve. But then, like all this, I'm going, I'm coming, I'm staying, the back flipping, and I'd be worried about. He's only signed 3 years. Do you know what I mean? So he gets the end of the 3 years. Say if he's carved up deluxe and he's got a couple of handy players around him, I'd be still worried that he's going to backflip and go back to the Bronx. You know what I mean? If they've got room in their salary cap and say we're going to bring him back down the M1, do you know, like, is it long enough, the contract itself? It probably is because of the money. You know what I mean? In terms of, look, it's just massive money for us. If he's going no good, we can flick him. If he is, well, we'll just roll the dice again, I suppose.
But if he goes enormous for 3 years, where do you go next?
That's the
problem. 1.5?
That's the thing. They will have to.
Like, look at the Ponga situation, at least, because, as you said, they upgraded there, but there was room. 1.25, you're already at the pointy end on potential. And
if he hasn't won a premiership or something.
And it also ties up their salary cap significantly. We've seen some great players on big money that's hamstrung a few clubs. Robbie Farah is one. Think of it with the Tigers, he was one of their best ever, but he's 900 and he's won 900,000. In the end, they said that's how they lost the likes of the Tedescos, to Powell, Aidacare,
all those guys. Moses.
They had salary cap issues. So sometimes paying overs though does, produce a bit of a sting in the tail at the back end. That's the problem.
It nearly needs to get to the point after 3 years they're having that sort of success and they're really building on being that top 4 sort of side. So he's willing to, I'll take $1 million
less
and get somebody else on board. But
that's right.
If they've had that success and it's a 3-year struggle, then it's going to be, it could really be cahoots for the Titans sort of if it doesn't work out.
They put a lot of eggs in one basket with him. So, but it's interesting. It'll be interesting to see how it does all unfold. And the other thing in league, we talk about salary caps and how things work. So, Sonny Bill Williams, so we've seen the Wolfpack, whatever they're, Toronto, they've fallen over. He's landed back in the country today or tonight or something, quarantined for 14 days. And you can pretty much take it as read. He's going to sign with the Roosters for the remainder of the season for
200.
Couple of things with that. One, I know everyone's like, well, how the hell can they possibly do that? And how does it work? How do they fit them? How do they fit him under the cap and all that sort of stuff? But it probably makes sense in terms of who they, like late in the piece, they got rid of Latrell, who was on 600,000 at the time. He's out. They've picked up Morris, and they wouldn't have given him 600. Obviously, he's there on.
I think the Sharks are paying a bit of his contract too.
Exactly. So they're only paying half, a quarter it is. But anyway, and the other interesting part with it as well is, like, when you talk about St. Peter seems pretty keen to get him in the game because I think it's good promotion for the game. But it opens up some interesting scenarios. So the double contract for one that they talk about. So
because his contract with Toronto, it gets a bit of the team or something, doesn't it? It's like an Andrew Bogut type contract where.
But I think it's so he's contracted to them and go back to them next year, but he's going to play here so he'd be with 2 contracts. It's the same as what they said around the time with the comparison I saw on a show I saw earlier in the week. They're talking about, like, when Benji Marshall at one stage in the off season said he wanted to go and play Japanese rugby in the off season for big money, and the NRL, and that's how they brought in this rule that you couldn't be contracted to 2 different teams at the same time. And this scenario was given, which is a really good example. What if someone offers Kalen Ponga to go and play rugby just in the off-season for a short stint. Japanese rugby will probably won't happen now, obviously, with coronavirus and travel, but do you know what I mean? That scenario. So what's your thoughts on the NRL seemingly making sure that it's possible that the Roosters can sign him? The defending premiers who favourites to win it again. I know they've got injuries that we talked about as well, but I mean, if you want to really bolster the game, why didn't he play for the Warriors?
Yeah, that's right. Couldn't agree more, mate. Couldn't agree more. I think it's ironic that they bend over backwards for one. I remember when this is probably a bit close at home for me, but when Israel Folau wanted to come back and play for the Eels, remember?
That's right.
The NRL put a stop to that real quick and said, "Oh no, you got to register him for what he's worth and playing for the Wallabies."
You got to pay market value.
That's right.
Yeah.
You can't tell me that Sonny Bill Williams' market value, if he wasn't contracted to the Wolfpack, would be $400,000.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Who's on $400,000 in the NRL right now, and you put Sonny Bill Williams beside them and say they're worth the same?
Exactly.
Yeah, he's getting old. He's getting long in the tooth, but good heavens, some money being spent in the NRL. You can't tell me that the Warriors or something like that wouldn't have paid however much they, you know what I mean? If he was available and everyone had room in the cap, and it was a bidding war, what would he be worth? Honestly, what would he be worth?
That's right. Well, that's
think about the marketability for one, and think about all the exposure, everything that comes along with it. What, in your opinion, what would he be worth, fellas?
I think it's out there. What's Toronto paying him? That's what he's worth. That's why they've signed him.
That's right. You can't. Why? I don't know. Yeah,
it's kind of like your old prodigal son, Jared Hayne, when he went to the Gold Coast off his from the old hut, and he ended up, they talked about whatever they paid him there, and I was actually by default at his first game, Haines' first game. That. We were down at the coast and they were playing the Warriors, and we just happened to be there. Next thing they signed Haines, next thing he was playing, and the place was full.
And then the scarf and the cap and.
And they had Hayne Cam, like with him sitting on the bench when he jumped on the bike, but the Titans and it was packed. It was a full house. So they've said, well, we got our money back already. Yeah. It was crazy.
They went from 3,000 fans to 23, which is unheard of.
Now they're back to 2.
Exactly.
So I don't know. But it's a good question. What's his market value? But he'd have to be in the top echelon, wouldn't he?
100%.
Like if Taumalolo's on a mill.
Mind you, I watched him. I don't take much out of trial games, but I tell you what, I watched him in a trial when he was playing for the Wolfpack there, and geez, or it might have been their first game. I watched a few highlights, and he didn't make much of an impact. Maybe Toronto were trying to offer him up and trying to dump the contract they got with him. Thought they're not getting as good a value for money. Oh, go and sign the NRL. They'll register it.
Yeah.
Well, how committed is he going to be? Because hasn't he just signed a deal to fight Barry
Hall? I read that too.
So is he all in the footy, or what's he going to give you? Or has he got to? Obviously, that's going to be worth a few bob to him as well.
Yeah, man can make some money. I'll give him that.
Yeah.
Oh, exactly.
And he's very athletic to go along with it. So he can turn.
They reckon he'll have. They reckon he'll make $2 million. For that
the fight with the Hall.
Each.
Jesus.
God. Maybe I hung the boots up too early.
And he keeps, I don't know about you guys, but the fight I want to see. The fight I want to see is I want to see him fight Gallen.
I think everyone wants to see that.
To be honest, but he's sidestepped that and gone to Big Bad Barry. So I don't know. But anyway, that's what is going on. So SBW will be back soon. This is important, boys. Add this one in. Just got a message through here. I don't know, Zach might be able to bring it up on there. Ian Reamers. So, hey, boys, Veterans cricket this weekend in Toowoomba. 2 games at Harristown State High School. There it is. Harristown State 1 on Saturday.
Joey
over 50
Marsh.
Division 1. Brad Hubbard and Joe Marsh on show. Local legends like Tony Goose and Steve Grammons. And then on Sunday, the over 50 Division 2. And Len Vanderlinden makes his debut with Mick O'Neill, looking to get amongst the runs again. So great cricket and a strong comp. Both matches start at 10 a.m. And Ian said the Division 1 over 60, so I travel to Maryborough to play Wide Bay on Saturday. Tough gig. So
it must be
all
difficult.
The best.
I was sort of just slotting in around the winter cars. I think they'd nearly get their own sort of facility.
It's getting big enough.
It's going all right. I'll tell you what, I remember getting out there. One of our great Jersey's not too far from making his debut either.
When I saw that name Tony Goose, I thought it said Troy Gursky. That's why I had to double take.
But
Have a double.
last play there, he was back playing A grade for Railways last season. I think he was in running around. So
Good.
Keen as must.
Excellent. Well, so there you go. So get out and support the Veterans cricket this weekend as well. The Grey Cavaliers going great guns. That's a look at the Southern Hotel shot clock. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll have a look at our Hogans Family Jewelers, Rocks and Diamonds, and we'll see if we can find you a winner or two across the weekend.
Hi guys, Lockie here from Hogans Family Jewelers. Today we're looking at how you select a perfect diamond. We need to consider the 4 C's: cut, colour, clarity and carat weight. In terms of discussing the cut of a diamond, we need to consider the aspects of the qualities of cut. At Hogans we only source triple excellent cut diamonds. In terms of colour, we look for the perfect white stone. We source stones from a D through to a D is based just on its carat weight. This isn't truly the case. It's a combination of all the 4 C's put together. There's one final hidden factor that I need to discuss about finding the perfect diamond. It's called fluorescence. When she wears the ring in natural sunlight, UV light, where the diamond is supposed to sparkle at its optimum level, you don't want any reaction. You don't want the diamond to go foggy, or a milky colour, or even a little neon blue sort of tinge through the diamond. This is why we only sell nil fluorescence diamonds and make sure that diamond stays crystal clear whether you're indoors or outdoors. There'll be no reaction to natural sunlight. Fluorescence is one of the largest factors of devaluing a diamond. Be careful. Out there you might find diamonds that seem cheap, but truly they're going to be cheap for a reason. At Hogans, we prefer our clients to experience superior quality diamonds. We only source the highest grade of GIA certified diamonds. That's the Gemological Institute of America, the harshest grading lab in the world. Some of you may have done some research on diamonds before and may fully understand the 4 C's. But if not, we've got knowledgeable staff that will help you and guide you through selecting the perfect diamond. At the end of the day, it's all about quality, and at Hogans, we prefer quality.
It is all about quality at Hogan's Family Jewelers. Lockie Hogan and the team doing great things. So if you're in the line for jewellery, he's the man to go and see. Pop down and see the team at Hogan's Family Jewelers. Okay, Rocks and Diamonds of the week. Rock of the week. Joel, what have you got?
Shoot to Steve, mate. I haven't got much.
Steve?
Easy one again. The old
Broncos.
Yeah, the obvious choice. The rumour mill's coming out now that Seabold might have enjoyed a bit of extracurricular activity amongst the playing groups, partners, and all that sort of stuff.
Serious?
Yeah, mate, the rumour mill's running around. But even their performance, like the first half, I thought, geez, they improved last week against Melbourne, and then the Jewels just come tumbling down in a big way. It was just an absolute procession there. Seabold finally, apparently has made the calls that he should have made 6 weeks ago with the halves gone, I think, isn't he? Who's out? Croft's out. Your mate back to the Highfields, who are they, the Hornets? Or?
Eagles. Highfields Eagles.
Back to the Eagles, mate. Cross back to the Eagles.
Yeah, Tomb Raider. Lara Croft, gone.
Breezy's over the moon because his love affair back will be rekindled out there at Cools Road.
Did you have a night out? You had a night out there on Friday, didn't you?
Yeah, I did wander out there to the tavern, mate, and just sampled a bit of
Eagles,
cuisine.
bit of Eagles hospitality.
The Eagles Rock.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, no, don't give. I've said enough about the Broncos. I'm just not going to say anything. But anyway,
So
Boyd's back to fullback this week, so he's made some other super changes. Boyd's back to fullback. Croft's got a sore shoulder, or he's injured, or something along those lines. Milford was out with a hamstring. He's miraculously recovered. He's back playing 5'8". So he's like a yo-yo, 6'1", 6". Yeah, he's back, thankfully. So so he'll slot in there at 5'8". And anyway, whatever. What have you got, Joel? Have you come up with a rock here, or what? Or do you want me to shoot?
Mate, I can go if you want. Probably
Go.
The super fight that should never happen is the old Mike Tyson and RJJ. I think that was it your rock last week?
No.
Mate, is it? Honestly. They're nearly in wheelchairs, those old flogs. And Roy Jones... Hey, Roy Jones Jr., yeah, fair enough. Maybe 30 years ago, maybe 20 years ago. What are they, 60? No, they're 60.
50s. They're in their 50s. Come on.
Yeah, well, getting close to 60 anyway. So maybe 20 years ago, this fight might have made sense. And they're late in their
But it
career.
wouldn't have made sense 20 years ago because they're different weight divisions.
I agree, but still, like, it makes sense that they were two superstars at the time, and talk about the 90s, but I agree. It probably wouldn't have made sense then either, but...
The 90s was 30 years ago.
That's what I'm saying. 20 to 30 years ago, that's when they were in their primes, the boys, but, geez, long time
You
out
all
of the
must
ring.
have forgot.
Roy Jones Jr., he was still fighting last year and getting chinned.
Yeah.
Well, he didn't look like, in saying that, Tyson looks pretty fit and ferocious. Jones looks small and pretty sloppy.
Terrible.
Yeah.
Terrible. It's because he's not a heavyweight.
Exactly. I don't want to get, as I said, I don't want to get revved up on this one as well, but I will. So they're fighting obviously at heavyweight or whatever weight it's going to be, and Jones would be.
Wait. Exhibition. They don't even fight. They won't even fight. Well, they would just be half a spar.
Well, that's where I'm. Yeah, that's sort of where I'm leading. Is what's the go here? Because if it's a fight, Tyson will knock him clean out. Because as you said, his chin's gone, and he was never a heavyweight. I know he won a heavyweight world title, beat John Ruiz or someone, but he didn't beat Tyson or someone.
No.
Or a Klitschko or someone to win the heavyweight title, right? So they're now going to fight each other. So if it's a fair dinkum fight, Jones's greatest asset was speed, footwork, hand speed, movement. He just moved a lot faster than any light heavyweight, and he hit pretty hard too for a light heavyweight.
He could really whack, and he could fight with his hands on his back.
But what he was good at was speed, and as his career went on, as per every fighter, speed, you lose your speed, and you lost his greatest asset. Travelled out in the circus to Australia and got knocked out cold by Denny Green.
The greatest travesties of all time, that. Honestly.
How long ago was that?
It would have been 2011, wouldn't it?
So
2010, 11?
that's my point. So now they're going to fight an exhibition, as you said. But, you remember, but Apollo Creed and Drago was an exhibition as well. So,
mate, honestly, it might pan out the same, to be honest.
No, what I'm getting at is that if Tyson hits him, he'll knock him clean out, surely.
100% he will. 100% he will.
So, but as you said, are they out there looking after
and
each
that's
other?
what I'm saying. And his chin ain't much good either. Oh, Roy, he kept fighting after Green.
That's what I mean.
Travelled around, was fighting like 8 rounders in Russia and stuff like just going mad. Like he needed the money.
So is there a deal here that they'll just spar, look after each other, or what?
Oh man. And the pay-per-view is charging $50 a throw.
I know.
Fair enough if they're doing it for charity or something, fellas. Good on yous, but God help us.
Yeah, I don't find it interesting.
They'd make a bit out of it, though, the boys, wouldn't they?
Plenty.
They'll make heaps out of it.
Well, actually, but hang on. I agree with everything you said there, Joel, and I'm with you. Will you buy it?
Probably.
Yeah, same. So answers your question right there.
Yeah.
The intrigue of it. Exactly. No,
hopefully they have a good undercard.
Because I'm the same. I'll buy it. Just out of interest. Too. Just to watch what happens. Okay, well that's good. We might be able to go halves then. Might be able to save half the money.
You come around here, we'll watch it from here, right?
You want to go third, Steve, or no interest?
Yeah, no, I'll come in. I'll bring that. I'll bring that De Niro movie. We watch it after. Who was that?
Yeah. old flogs or something on it.
Yeah. I'll bring that around.
That's exactly what it is. That's honestly what it is.
Yeah.
That's what they're doing.
So we'll watch that. We'll watch that one after. Well, interesting point you make there. My rock's also in boxing now. Did anyone see this? I don't know if Zach's got the footage here or not. Anyone see this last week? It was the fastest recorded knockout in women's boxing history.
This is the biggest mismatch you've ever seen.
That's where I'm getting to. Let's have a look here. The intro goes longer than the fight. Righto. Here she comes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 seconds. Probably a good thing that it's frozen there, but 7 seconds and she's done. So it was Cianassa Estrada knocked out Miranda Adkins in 7 seconds. It was also, but we'll add, not trying to defend them or anything here, it was a like a late replacement fight that they sorted out. But anyway, so Estrada is 18-0 and been fighting world title fights. So this girl was 5-0. Now I know that sounds impressive, but 5-0. I looked at a BoxRec record. The 5 that she became 5-0 by 5 by knockout, 2 I might add, have since not another fight between them, and nearly all of them when they were knocked out in the first round. So all of her opponents. So I was already lined up to. Here we go. I might have it now. Here we go. And
geez, you're groggy.
That's it.
That first
7 seconds.
She's
Doesn't even
groggy,
count.
wasn't she?
Waves it off. So it went viral at the start of the week before that, and then just to make it worse. I don't know if anyone saw this story today, and I got to read part of it. It's just insane. So 42-year-old Adkins, so she's from Kansas, as we know, was just demolished in the 7 seconds, and they're sort of questioning how or why the fight came up. So someone did a little bit of an uncovering that her professional record appears to be a total fraud.
No.
Guess who her promoter is? This Miranda Adkins. Talk about lambs to the slaughter. Her husband's the promoter, right? So he had her repeatedly fight women who were not fighters, but instead, get this, they were professional strippers.
Nice.
And apparently most of them have never been in a boxing ring before. So an unnamed, and again, putting a caveat on this is all alleged, obviously, an unnamed, in one of those stories, an unnamed source told them about Adkins' fights that the exotic dancers didn't even have their own boxing equipment. So they turned up to the venue with nothing. I don't know if that's literally in the raw or what, but anyway, they turned up with nothing.
Good on them.
I'm just reading the story.
Good on them.
They showed up to the venue with nothing, the source said. No shorts, no shoes, no mouthguard, nothing. Then they borrow from other fighters. It's really effed up. So
it's obviously not a code you can really run the crossover on then, stripping to boxing then if you don't have
but like fair
so you could pursue a more financial viable career, ripping off the
couple of the old ring girls jumping up in the ring.
It's just there's a husband sent her into this fight. Like
maybe they were his ex-girlfriends or something and sold him in and just
seriously.
They probably ripped a few 50s out of his pocket on the weekend before. And
yeah, the missus has said, "Get him in here, and I'm fighting him. You're promoting it."
So what a joke. Anyway, that's
that
one. I couldn't believe it. I just dead set. I couldn't believe. Yeah, as I said, just the fact that the fight, the way it happened, 7 seconds over and done with. And look, we're all being around here, Joel, and you and I particularly love boxing, absolutely love it. But it's just stuff like that, and you wonder why people like Steve and others sort of talk about why UFC is the superior product and things like that. And then you see things, and we disagree, obviously, as we always argue over this case in point. But stuff like that is just
it's not good for the game.
It's just a joke. It's just terrible. And so that rock of the week, the husband of Miranda Adkins for suing his wife into
He's only ever fought strippers.
Go back to fighting. Yeah, anyway, rematch the other 5 again. So
go back to Hooters and fight.
10-1. Put it in Brophies or something. But terrible, shocking. Nothing worse in sport than mismatches, let alone mismatches when people know that they are and allow them to happen like that. And then 7 seconds. So she's going to hold the world record for the fastest knockout. So that's my rock of the week. Righto, diamond of the week. What do we got? Something more that's finished on a positive note.
I've got one.
What are we coming up with? Yep.
Indigenous round this weekend in the NRL. I love the Indigenous round, the designs they put on the jerseys and the effort they go to recognise the traditional owners of the land. So, I'm running with that. There's some pretty cool jerseys around that I flicked through today and saw a couple of doozies. I think was Preston Campbell might have been the one that was heavily influenced this round upon the NRL, and he was pretty adamant to get it into the game. And I think I love those rounds, retro round, Indigenous round, all those types where they offer up the alternate jerseys and all the rest of it. So, yeah, I think it's always a good round. And, you know, the Indigenous players often come on leaps and bounds in the round, showing their heritage and all the like. So it's good to see. Hopefully they bring back a few, you know, little shaker legs and that when they score the try. I love seeing all that.
Good point. Just a quick segue from that. St Mary's as well actually acknowledged the round. So the St Mary's first who played Marsden up at Clive Berghofer Stadium on Wednesday, they wore their Indigenous jersey. And I don't know the full story behind this, but I think I do from last year. They had one of their students actually designed it. So, and they had, when Thurston was here last year, obviously he signed it and had the first jersey and things like that. And it's a really cool design. So one of their students designed it, and St Mary's. So instead of the traditional butcher stripes, they wore the Indigenous jersey there as well to acknowledge that. So, yeah, no, good point, Joel. So good Diamond of the Week. Steve, Diamond of the Week. News.com.
Yeah, I did skip the news.com. I'll tell you what, they should be rock of the week again. I think I rocked them one time for some pretty horrid reporting. But anyway, I might just stick with this weekend's events, the big Grammar Downlands Day. I think last year these guys, the effort that they go to normally, but again, to probably make it happen this year, to give the guys at both schools a chance for it to happen and get out and sort of get some sort of atmosphere there too. So I don't know if they I'm guessing they'll be streaming it some sort of capacity to get viewers on there, and it won't be the same, but I know I'll be tuned in there Saturday Ave, and as a parochial sort of old boy, you like to, even though it's a fairly distant sort of connection now, get on board and cheer the old colours home there as well. So it'll be disappointing not to be up there, but best of luck goes out to both teams there for the weekend.
Yep, no, excellent, outstanding. Mine on a racing theme, boys. I just thought we just sort of take it as the norm now. But Tony Gollan, another premiership. It is a remarkable achievement to consider what he's done. A trainer from Toowoomba went down there. First season, it's a long time ago now, but the first season he relocated down there, started the season like an absolute firecracker. And then he went cold, did not win another race for it went through a massive drought. But the first couple of months, he was absolutely flying. And then he obviously went away, adjusted, made some changes, knew what he needed to do. And look where his business sits now. He's the number one trainer in Queensland by a mile. Each year he seems to have a few challenges emerge, whether it's the Heathcotes, whether it's the Edmonds camp, whether it's Schweida, a lot of great trainers, but he just keeps on keeping on and just keeps on producing results. So, as I said, I think we nearly take it for granted now, but I think it's a really massive achievement. So he's breaking records, and the records he's breaking are his own records. So he just keeps getting better and better and better, and really interesting to see what the future holds for Tony Gollan. Will he be in Queensland for much longer? Will he relocate elsewhere? Will he follow in those footsteps that we've seen some of the great trainers from here, like the Peter Moody's, who went from Brisbane to Sydney or Melbourne and things like that. So Tony Gollan, hats off to you. Another stellar season. So racking up.
Where would you love to see him go if he went somewhere? Sydney or Melbourne?
I'd like to see him stay in Queensland. Here we go. One of it, Brian Simpson, Blue Zebra, Beyond Lads, Chico Malaga, all surprise, Black Soul Bloodstock, back them both.
He didn't go no good today, the boys.
Unusual. Very unusual, yeah.
Shot two. What did he run third?
Went under. So, but Blue Zebra, and you get the good oil on this show. Brian told us about it, didn't he? Ages ago.
Yeah, he did.
And it didn't disappoint.
Good man,
so
Brian.
It goes around on Saturday. So. Yeah, so and then clients like Black Soil Bloodstock. So when you look at that story as well, we talk about and what I love about it is just that continued Toowoomba connection that he has. So Brian Simpson obviously involved heavily through what he does. As said up until obviously his passing this year, his father Darryl played a big role in the stable, and he just has that strong connection towards our region, which is also great. So we look forward to seeing Tony win another premiership. I'd say.
They reckon Brian was down there throwing his hand up when sunlight was going through the ring. Apparently, don't know how true it is or not, but that's I reckon the Bloodstock boys are down there.
What do you reckon? Black Soil Bloodstock was the underbid of 4.1.
Just missed, I reckon. Yeah.
Hasn't there been some money going around to that sale?
Jesus.
Like Vedora went for 1 point something as well. There was
Mick Frappel, he'd be. Oh, Mickey. He would have got a handful there too, I reckon.
All the big ones, didn't they?
Coolmore, yeah.
Yeah.
They got Sunlight, they got Global Glamour now, they got a couple of them.
Unbelievable.
Invincibella.
Picked
up there. One other one for about 2 mil. So
yeah, I can't think of this one. I'm trying to think on top of my head. He said, yeah, they went, but it's big money. Yeah, but there's another one. Yeah, exactly. But just the money, unbelievable. So, but what do you reckon? They were the underbidder. Black Sort of Blood just missed out.
That's what I heard. Yeah.
They were the 4 point.
I reckon you can see Brian like putting the hands up and he's like humming and hawing whether he's going to go again and that. Yeah.
It's like those auctions. You sit there and you put your hand up and then you're like getting stuck with like shit. I'm gonna have to pay for this.
Look around the boys. How much you got? That sort of stuff.
Yeah, right. They're not quite 4.15 mil they went to, so almost. Yeah, so they only just missed out. Yeah, just missed. But that's all right. They'll see what they got the zebra going. So good luck to Black Soil Bloodstock on the weekend. Good segue. Winners this week for Hogan's Family Jewelers. Find a winner. What do we got?
Moonee Valley Race 4, number 4, Brooklyn Hustle. $2.70. This thing was super fresh last prep. Held up against the Patton, Chase Anaheed, and split Loving Gabby and Bivouac in its last start. I think going straight at Flemington. This thing will hopefully be winning. $2.70. Dwayne Dunn, Jason Warren. Well, that's all I want.
Steve?
I don't know whether I'm just stupid for keeping coming into this thing. I've been burnt plenty of times. But Brisbane Race 6, number 2, Slow Hands. Like, it's always thereabouts. But it seems to find something to beat it. But Eagle Farm, big long straight. Oh, I'm going to go one more time to the well. And if it doesn't get the money this time, it is
next time
going in the bin.
Get in the sea.
Yes.
I'm a bit similar to last week to this week. I just haven't found something at the odds I like to bet into, but I tipped this a couple of weeks ago when it was a good sort of price and it was a good run, and that one to top it off. And spoke to my man today, the punting baron. He was pretty keen on it as well, so that gave me a bit more confidence. It is Moonee Valley Race 7, number 7, Polly Gray. As I said, I was pretty keen on it last start, and was a little disappointed. Sort of lost its spot there, but it hit the line nicely as well. So that run up to that distance, so 3rd or 4th up now. Banking on it producing its best. As I said, I was quite taken with it trying to the Winter Championship. That's why I was keen to be on it last start. And as I said, but it just sort of lost its spot for the turn or something. So around the valley, hopefully they can get home from behind, the back of the field, and just blend in on the turn as they do, and hopefully streak away from them. So Polly Gray for me. Moonee Valley Race 7, number 7 is my selection. So there you go. That's a semi-pros multi them up. Or rule a line through them, or it's probably the better option actually. Just rule a line through those. So there's 3 you can just dismiss if you're having.
I was nearly going to tip one here at $91, but I just couldn't come into it. Eagle Farm Race 8, the 8, Ruby Guru each way, $91. First up, it's gone all right first up in the past. I think it's had 7 first up for 4 or 5 places. I reckon $91 is overs. I reckon something each way
all day. Or like a 1x4 basis?
Something like that. That's usually how I play into that space, my units, and get around all that sort of jazz. So
1x4, right on.
Nearly tipped him. Watch it win now.
Right on. So that's a few winners there, or losers, or whatever you want to call them, for the weekend. As we mentioned earlier in the show, or Steve just topped off there before, all the best to Grammar and Downlands playing this weekend. As I said, it's one of the great sporting traditions in our city. So to see that one up there at Berghofer Stadium, and it will be streamed, I'd imagine, across all mediums that way. So tune in and support Grammar or Downlands, whichever team you're inclined to support there as well. NBA season kicks off as well, or resumes. Sorry, I shouldn't say kicks off. Resumes. So the NBA resumes. So Joel, your mob feature in the first or second game I was looking at before. The Lakers play the Clippers. So
when's that kick off?
Start with a Friday. So for those that are watching yesterday, you'll be able to look up the results. So, but Lakers Clippers 11 o'clock Friday. The Pelicans play someone in the first game about 8:30 in the morning. Our time, I'm talking, of course. So that we see the NBA season resume. Racing-wise, as we said, new racing season. Horses all have a birthday, Saturday the 1st. So go and say happy birthday to all the horses, and hopefully they celebrate by winning a race if you back them. So horses' birthday this weekend. Also, and as we said, don't forget with the DDBBL, that big players draft comes up on the 14th. Anything else on or happening? Worth a
great deal,
shout
mate.
out? Righto. Well, that's us for this week. Thanks for tuning in to the Semi-Pros. Look forward to talking to you again next week.
Just about do, mate. Surely. There you go. That's outstanding. Not much talent running around in our own backyard.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Semi-Pros. The Semi-Pros. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up. The Skull.